Artists and creative people exist right on the edge of what we know and what we understand. They like to expand on what we can comprehend about the world. And today I'm going to talk about why this is essential for our society. Creatives help to transform perception. Look at what they do to our cities, for example. They're often attracted to parts of our cities that have seen better days and are a bit forgotten, considered ugly and down market. They have a vision of how to make it better and come in with the idea to build some galleries and organise some funky art exhibitions. And this attracts new people to the area. They make a place more human, more civilised. Small businesses follow, like coffee shops, bars and gift shops, and then property investors become interested in the area and see it as up and coming and hip. This is what's happened in cities all over Europe, if not the world, and it's because of the vision of creative people. This is the role of artists. They transform chaos into order. They do this with their art, and they do it with the world. They help us make sense of things. There's a saying that goes, "Science helps us understand the world, but artists create a world that we can understand." Artists do to society what dreaming does to the human brain. When you dream, it's your brain's way of processing all the myriad tiny pieces of chaotic information that you've absorbed throughout the day. Everyone's creative when they dream. We can make up these amazing stories and even surprise ourselves with what we have created. It's the same for artists. When we make something, we often say to ourselves, "Wow, where did that come from?" Sometimes I'll paint something, and when I emerge from my state of creative flow, I'll step back and feel almost confused. I feel like it wasn't really me who made it. Artists are the visionaries that transform what we don't understand into something that we can at least begin to see. You could go as far as saying that artists are the civilizing agents of our society. They help us make sense of an impossibly intricate and complicated world. They illuminate, clarify, and help us to process our surroundings. Living in France, I'm overwhelmed by the beauty that exists here in our cities. The beauty that artists have added to our environment is priceless, quite literally. Beautiful surroundings are infinitely valuable to a country. People travel from all over the world just to come and see our cities, just to experience the sheer beauty of them. It makes people feel more alive to witness beauty. It's what nourishes our soul as humans. Sadly, in our society, the essential role of artists is often missed. Our educational system was originally set up to crush the creativity out of people so that they would become good, obedient factory workers. Unfortunately, this system hasn't kept up with the evolution of our society and still tells our creative children to listen and stop daydreaming. Our schools are still doing a pretty poor job of encouraging creativity. Budgets are cut every year for the arts. There's a bell that tells you when to move on to the next activity, just like in a factory. And what better place to crush any creativity, where all you do is repeat the same thing over and over again. A creative person has to stop whatever action they're doing so that their mind can find the peace necessary to create something. From the outside, this looks like idly daydreaming. But on the inside, there's a whole universe of activity unfolding inside that person's mind. We need to learn to recognize it. Some children aren't able to focus on their work because they're innately aware that their work is in fact to daydream. We're very quick to label these children as having some kind of disorder, whereas often it's just a creative mind trying to grow and develop in a world that thinks it needs to produce more obedient factory workers. If you're a creative person and for some reason you're not able to regularly do something creative, then you'll probably start to feel that part of your soul is dying. I used to work in a job that was completely uncreative, and little by little I lost my energy, and I even lost the energy to come home after a day working that job and do something creative. At the end of a day at work, I didn't even have the energy to paint, and eventually I got sick. That's when I knew I had to prioritize a more creative existence. It was a question of survival, not a choice. I think that in our society, those who are not innately creative can actually feel quite afraid of art. The most popular wall colour is still magnolia or beige. And even if a painting speaks to some people, then they're still afraid to hang it proudly in their living room in case other people judge them on their taste. They have every reason to feel this way though. Art says so much about you. Real art is not decoration. That's what is so often misunderstood about it. Real art is exploration. Artists use their creations to help people to see. When the Impressionist style of painting was first shown to society, it was mocked by critics and the public as ugly and crude. Monet's water lilies were criticised as unfinished and compared to wallpaper. People were afraid to see the world in a new and what was then considered to be radical way. Creative people often lead a somewhat stormy life, because there's no real need to be creative unless you have a problem to solve. This means that creatives are deeply aware of the problems in our society. Complete freedom and comfort doesn't produce an artist. It's often quite the opposite that's necessary. A creative mind is set on fire when they feel the barriers around them of a problem to solve. It's the constraints of a problem that ignite their creativity. True visionary leaders understand the importance of funding the arts. They understand the absolute necessity of creative people in a society. But how many of today's leaders can we say are visionary? I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about creatives and their role in society. And don't get me wrong, the footage that I've included of me painting doesn't mean that I think I'm a creative visionary or particularly essential to the survival of our society. I just use the footage that I have to try to illustrate a point. I'm off now to get on with some more painting, and I wish you a very creative and happy week, and until next time, take care. Bye for now.